This video I'm going to show you is a long video. It's 8 minutes and 35 seconds, but please listen to his story.
From the time my kids were newborns throughout their early years, the only reason my family and I were not homeless was because of food stamps and WIC. In Michigan, you're given a bridge card, which is where the money from the food stamp program is loaded each and every month. And WIC, I believe, is the same across the country, but that is your essentials for newborns and small children, your formula, milk, fruits and vegetables, but there's a specific allotment of each item that you can get each month. My children are now 15, 13, and 11. And for as long as they've been alive, I've been working at a minimum 50-hour work weeks. At its worst, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 to 80 hours. But for the most part, the average is somewhere between, I would say, 55 to 60. For reference, when my youngest son was born in 2014, I was working for Darden Restaurants, specifically Olive Garden, as a restaurant manager. Darden Restaurants is a giant corporate entity that owns countless restaurant brands. And they were paying me $45,000 a year, which was not a lot of money. Still wasn't a lot of money in 2014. With the quarterly bonuses I would get that were between like $800 and $1,500 pre-tax, I was making like $48,000 a year before taxes. So not even bringing home $4,000 a month. My now ex-wife, we got divorced in 2018. She was a stay-at-home mom. So she did everything for the kids while I worked. And while there was many areas I lacked in as a husband and things that I wish I could have been better in, one of the small gestures I always tried to give to her was whenever grocery shopping needed to be done, I would take all the kids. So it was only a few hours, but if she could take a nap or relax or do her nails or whatever, just a little bit of time where the house was quiet and she didn't have to look after anyone and she could do whatever she wanted to do. So there were many times where I would take the kids to the store and my then wife and I, we were always really good at knowing where we were with our bridge card, like how much money was left on the bridge card or how many like canisters of formula we still had on WIC, which I think we got 8 a month. We'd always get Enfamil, the yellow canister, I remember. And it was somewhere between like $16 and $18 a canister. And my children were graced with my appetite. So 8 canisters of formula never made it through the month. That was typically like the first 3 weeks or so. So there was always typically 2 or 3 more canisters that were needed. And it might not seem like a lot, but that $40 to $60, when you're making $3,200 a month on the high end, that's a lot of money. So there were more times than I can count that when I had to get those canisters of formula at the end of the month and we didn't have much money left over, that I would put them on the bottom of the cart underneath where my youngest would be sitting in the cart. And I did that because when I would go to the checkout lane, I would hope the cashier wouldn't notice. I never intended on putting those on the belt. And while they'd point them out a few times, and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. All the kids, it's crazy. And there was a lot going on with 3 kids. But there were many times where I didn't get caught. And I think about that often. And not because I feel remorse for taking something from a corporate entity that exploits its employees and gouges customers still to this day. But I think about that often because that was what was needed to make ends meet. And it's sad that we live in a country where that's the case. And it's only gotten exponentially worse since then. And furthermore, it's so sad that such a large population of people who also use these services want to vilify and demonize people for what they buy with food stamps. I can think of times that we bought cupcakes or cookies or something to take to school so our sons could pass something out as like a gift for their birthday to the whole class. They could have cupcakes, they could have cookies, they could have whatever. Or if they wanted to have their birthday dinner and they wanted a special meal. Or if I wanted to do something nice for my wife and we would go and get steak and like have a really nice dinner for the two of us. You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter how someone spends the money they qualify for. We live in a country where everyone in the working class, I should say, grinds themselves to a fucking pulp to make ends meet. I currently work a full-time salaried position, making substantially more than I did when I was a restaurant manager, and I still DoorDash 25 hours a week. I'm not able to contribute to a 401k. I'm not able to set money aside. I'm working to make ends meet. And I know there are many people who are not fortunate enough to have a salaried job that like I do and make that much, and who have to work 3 jobs or 4 jobs. And I don't know how they do it. And seeing people like the woman from the other video I posted earlier, it makes me so viscerally angry that these people, and I get like it's rage bait and you know, that's what's out there, but that's really how those people think. And it baffles me. There's no reason any child should ever go without food. There's no reason someone who's working multiple jobs to keep the lights on, to keep the heat on, to make sure their kids have shoes for school or a backpack. There's no reason they shouldn't have food. And we, as a people, not everyone, but many people have become so cold and callous to that fact. There's such a substantially large portion of people who work at Walmart that are on food assistance and are on social programs because of how massively they're underpaid. Meanwhile, all of the Walton children are worth tens of billions of dollars. I don't even know. I've rambled on here for several minutes at this point, but I thought I would share my experience, and I thought I would share my family's experience, and I thought I would share that when it came down to it, I had to steal formula to make sure my baby had formula. And I know I'm not alone. And I know if you're watching this video, I can't believe anyone would be watching this far down the line. But if anyone has watched this and you see someone at the grocery store have something in their cart they didn't pay for, no the fuck you did not.
Everybody's got their own experiences, and everybody's had to do what they needed to do to put food on the table. I've had to steal in the past when I was younger to put food on the table. Absolutely, I have. Food on the table. I didn't have a table. Food in my belly. If you work in this country, you shouldn't need food assistance. If you stumble and fall through no fault of your own, you should, and you can't provide for yourself, you shouldn't be denied food assistance. This is so fucked up.